students, I am Dr. Kumud Madan, Associate Professor in Lloyd Institute of Management and Technology. I shall take up your second unit of inorganic pharmaceutical chemistry, that is acid, bases and buffers. In the previous chapter, we have studied about acids, different concepts given regarding those, bases, buffers, why do we need the buffers, how do we make the buffers, isotonic buffered solution, what are the different methods of the tonicity adjustment, then electrolyte imbalance in the body. Whenever there is an imbalance, what are the conditions which arises, what are the conditions which lead to the electrolyte imbalance, and what is the replacement therapy where we take electrolyte replenishers or the salt, oral rehydration salt and the oral rehydration therapy. Now, we are proceeding towards the end of this unit with the last topic of dentifrices. Dentifrices. Now, dentifrices are the agents which are basically meant for the tooth care. These are the stage of the different caries development. You can see here that in the tooth carie, in the enamel carie, this is a carie which occurs on the enamel or the outer surface of the tooth. This is the pulp. Here when the dentin arises, it causes dental caries. Then pulpititis or the inflammation of the pulp is called pulpititis and periodontitis. However, we are not concerned about this in different stages. We only have to study caries as per our syllabus. Dentifrices are broadly divided into 4 categories: anti-caries agent, sodium fluoride; cleaning agent, diabasic calcium phosphate; polishing agent, sodium metaphosphate; desensitization agent, zinc chloride. We will study each these category one by one. Before that, we need to study the role of fluoride in our tooth. Tooth decay is chronic infectious disease called dental plaque. What happens is, whenever there is deposit of the food stuff or the sugars or the carbohydrate which is there in the tooth, that leads to the action of the bacteria Streptococcus mucans, which break down that sugar component, the carbohydrates, and that lead to the caries. Let's see how does it do that. Caries is basically colorless sticky mixture of bacterial product, mucin, saliva and the food stuff attached to the enamel, that is the outer covering or the outer layer of the tooth, and the dentine grown on the crown. How does fluoride help there? What happens when this organism react here and break this food stuff, it extract out calcium. So, that is a process of the demineralization which lead to the tooth decay. So, fluoride comes into play because fluoride does the process of the remineralization. Fluoride prevents controlled dental plaque. The best way is to maintain the optimal oral hygiene. Fluoride is added in the water so that everybody get the fluoride in their diet itself and they can prevent themselves from the dental plaque. Topical fluoride solutions, mouthwashes, gels, they are less effective than the systemic therapy. This is a diagram where you can see the process of the tooth plaque or the decay. How does demineralization happens? Have a look here. The plaque acid, this is a plaque which has been formed on the enamel of the tooth. This enters rods in the teeth and break down the enamel. Now, fluoride comes and does the process of the remineralization. This is a place where plaque had formed. Over this, now fluoride comes and fluoride enters the rods in the tooth to treat the enamel lesions, and enamel is again remineralized after addition of the fluoride. That is why we need fluoride daily in our diet and there is a recommended dose given, and that is the reason fluoride is being added into the water. Besides, fluoride is a major component of the toothpaste. The dose of the fluoride which is required per day in the case of infant, it is 0.01 milligram per day to 0.5 milligram. Children with the age of 1 to 13 years require 0.7 to 2 milligram per day. Adults require 3 to 4 milligram per day. However, females require lesser, that is 3 milligram per day. So, this is a recommended dose of the fluoride which has to be included by any of the means, either by the water or by the toothpaste. Sodium fluoride. Now, this is a component we need to study as per our syllabus. Sodium fluoride is prepared by passing hydrogen fluoride into solution of sodium carbonate. Let us have a look on the reaction. Sodium carbonate react with hydrogen fluoride and we get sodium for sodium carbonate, hydrogen fluoride gives us the fluoride ion, and what do we get? Sodium fluoride, and the byproducts are the effervescence gases, carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Now, the physical properties of the sodium fluoride includes, it is a colorless powder, it is odorless, it has salty taste, it is soluble in water as well as in alcohol. Sodium fluoride uses, that includes number 1, as we studied the importance of fluoride in the dental plaque. So, it is required to prevent the dental caries. It may render the enamel of teeth more resistant to acid. Why? Because it is performing the process of remineralization and making the tooth stronger. It promotes remineralization, this function we have already studied. It reduces microbial acid production. Microbial acid is produced by the action of the bacteria on the foodstuff deposited on the tooth. It is used in insecticide and pesticide, as well as fluoride is also used, sodium fluoride form in the fluoridation of the drinking water. Another compound which we need to study in this chapter is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is prepared by passing carbon dioxide through lime water. We know that lime water is what? Calcium hydroxide. Now, when we pass carbon dioxide gas through it, we get what? Calcium carbonate and water. This calcium carbonate is colorless powder, it is odorless, it is tasteless, it is insoluble in water as well as insoluble in alcohol. So, it means if we are going to add say this is a beaker of the water, if we are going to add calcium carbonate powder to this, it won't dissolve, but it will remain dispersed or suspended. Now, the chemical properties of calcium carbonate, the most important we are going to discuss here. Calcium carbonate when react with hydrochloric acid gives salt and water. Let us see how it does that. Calcium carbonate react with HCl to give calcium chloride, this is a salt, and the gases is carbon dioxide. Water is the byproduct here. Another reaction is when it reacts with the sulfuric acid. Now, obviously since it is reacting with sulfuric acid, it is going to form what? It is going to form sulfate salt. So, have a look here on the reaction. Calcium carbonate plus sulfuric acid gives you calcium sulfate and carbon dioxide gas is released and water is again the byproduct here. Uses of calcium carbonate. Which are the various areas where we require calcium carbonate? Number 1, it is an antacid. Antacid therapy. Antacids are generally given when the acidic conditions are on the higher side. You might have seen people complaining of the acidity. It could be due to various pathological diseases. It could be due to achlorhydria, means there is lesser of the HCl in the stomach to digest the food. So, like conditions where acid is higher, we need antacids. You might have heard some compounds, say calcium carbonate, megaldrate, and many salts in the marketed preparation. You have heard of aluminum hydroxide gel, lysine, these all are the antacids, and calcium carbonate is also one of the antacids. Besides this, we require calcium carbonate as a supplement in deficiency state. Whenever there is deficiency of calcium, we can administer this salt. It is also a component of food additive. It is used as dentifrices, it is used in insecticide, and it is also used in antidiarrheal preparation. Antidiarrheal preparation are where again we require the replacement therapy or the replenishment of the calcium ion in the body, but it has some adverse effect. It may cause constipation, discomfort and hypercalcemia. Hyper means higher concentration of the calcium. The other category we need to study here is desensitizing agent. You know what is sensitivity? Sensitivity is basically a reflex section when you are being sensed because of something. That is a spontaneous reaction that you become sensitive to something. So, desensitizing, D means against. So, what happens is that dentine hypersensitivity is defined as short, sharp pain arising from exposed dentine in response to certain stimuli, typically thermal, evaporative, tactile, osmotic or chemical, and which cannot be ascribed to any other dental imperfection or pathology. There is no pathology of the tooth, but because of the some stimuli. Say for example, whenever you eat something very cold, say ice cream, or whenever you eat something very hot, you just feel sensitivity in your tooth. That is what dentine hypersensitivity. So, in order to remove that symptom or that problem one is facing, we use desensitizing agent, means which is going to remove that sensitivity to your tooth. That includes, now the desensitizing agents have been classified depending upon the mechanism of action. We have three categories here. Number one is nerve desensitizing agent. Nerve desensitization is the purpose which they do, and the example include potassium nitrate. The second category is of protein precipitation. These causes a protein precipitation and hence they remove the sensitization. Examples include glutaraldehyde, silver nitrate, zinc chloride, strontium chloride, hexahydrate. Third category of the desensitizing agents include plugging dedental tubules. This include sodium fluoride, stannous fluoride, calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. Although we need not to study in detail these topics as per the syllabus. Next we have zinc eugenol cement. You know the cement is used for? It is used for building the blocks, or it is used for joining of the bricks to make a building. Likewise, there is a cement which is used for the filling of the tooth, right, whenever there is a cavity which arises. So, that is zinc eugenol cement. What is it? It is a low strength base and it is used as a temporary cement filling. It basically consists of the powder of zinc oxide with liquid eugenol and olive oil. So, these three components all together make zinc eugenol cement. These are the cements of the low strength, and the setting time, like when you apply it to the tooth cavity, it is 4 to 10 minutes. They are the least irritating of the dental cement. They do not cause any sort of irritation, and they are known to have an obtundant effect on the exposed dentin, that structure of the tooth. They are available as powder and liquid or toothpaste systems which are mixed instantly before the administration. The said cement consists of particles of zinc oxide embedded in a matrix of zinc eugenolate. So, with the eugenol it forms zinc eugenolate. This zinc oxide eugenol cement has been classified into 4 categories. Type 1 ZOE, that is zinc oxide eugenolate, right. So, we have the abbreviation zinc oxide eugenolate, it is ZOE. Fine. So, this ZOE of 4 types basically. Type 1 ZOE, which is for the temporary cementation, type 2 ZOE, which is for the permanent cementation, type 3, which is for the temporary filling and thermal base, and type 4, which is used as the cavity liner. Now, what reaction takes place when we make this zinc eugenolate? Hydrolysis of zinc oxide to its hydroxide, this is the first reaction. ZNO reacts with water, but obviously hydroxide will be formed. Now, when this hydroxide react with the eugenol, it forms zinc eugenolate. The chelate formed is an amorphous gel that tends to crystallize and imparts strength to the set mass. Now, this is the agent which gives the strength to the mass which has been used. So, this provides that cementing or the joining purpose. Zinc eugenol cement has multiple uses. Again, all uses are interrelated. It is used in the dentifrices for temporary and the permanent cementation. It is used for temporary fillings. It is used as a cavity liners and as a base. It is used for pulp capping agent, and it has one more use, which is although not primary, which is not important, but it has a secondary use, which is of root canal restorations. Another topic is polishing agent. You know what is polishing? Polishing is any process where you increase the luster or the shining of any substance. Everybody has, that aesthetic appeal that I should have a beautiful smile, my teeth must shine. So, polishing agent is another dentifrice which is used for the tooth polishing. Tooth polishing is basically act of smoothing the tooth surface to make it glossy and lustrous. This is the outer effect of the polishing agent, what you can see. The tooth is becoming glossy and the lustrous. But otherwise, what is it doing? It is removing the soft deposit and the stains from the tooth surface. Basically, it removes plaque, biofilm, stains and acquired pellicle, which all exist on the tooth surface and make it very ugly look. So, we use the polishing agent to get that glossy tooth feel. One example which is used generally is sodium metaphosphate, which is generally used in the hexa form. So, it is more appropriately called as sodium hexametaphosphate. Sodium hexametaphosphate basically works by combining both stain prevention as well as the stain removal mechanism. Now, let us study how it is being made. Its synthesis involves basically 2 steps. First of all, it is prepared by heating monosodium orthophosphate to generate sodium acid pyrophosphate. This is monosodium orthophosphate NaH2PO4, which is giving Na2H2P2O7, that is sodium acid pyrophosphate. Now, this is further heated to give the compound which we need, that is sodium hexametaphosphate. Here, have a look, sodium acid pyrophosphate is heated to give sodium hexametaphosphate. This is the formula. This is the phosphate hexa. So, this comes to be sodium hexametaphosphate. Another category which we need to study in the dentifrices is the cleaning agent. Cleaning means something to clear off, to remove the dirt. So, in the case of dentifrices, cleaning agents are the one which are used to remove plaque and the tartar which is deposited on the tooth surface. Abrasives is another term which is generally used to duplicate the cleaning agent itself. Abrasives that are added to the toothpaste give their cleaning power. What they do? They polish the teeth and they do the cleaning. What they do? They clean the stains which are formed on the tooth surface. Examples of the cleaning agent include alumina, hydrated silica, dicalcium phosphate, calcium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, which is also called as a common name baking soda. So, student, that is what all we need to study about the dentifrices. Now, I will just have a quick recap what we studied in the lecture today. Now, these are the stages of the dental caries which we studied. What happens? The process of the demineralization happens here in the enamel caries. Dentifrices are the agents which are used for the tooth care. They are divided into 4 broad categories: anti-caries agent, cleaning agent, polishing agent and desensitizing agent. What does fluoride play a role? Before the role of fluoride, I should tell you, I can have a diagrammatic view of the same. Have a look here. What happens in the dental caries? Whenever there is a foodstuff or the sugars or the carbohydrate in the tooth, there gets the depositive layer of the same. Then the organism Streptococcus mucus come and degrade that and convert into this acid. Now, this acid deteriorates the enamel of the tooth and causes demineralization. It extracts calcium from the tooth. So, this is the process of the demineralization, where the plaque acid enters, rot in the teeth and break down the enamel. And fluoride helps in the process of the remineralization. Now, there is the layer of the caries of the plaque here. Fluoride enters into the rod and tooth to treat this enamel lesions and help in the remineralization. So, we are clear with the role of the fluoride. Fluoride is used in the chronic infection disease called the dental plaque. Then colorless sticky material which is deposited as a bacterial product causes a dental caries. Fluoride prevent the damage of this dental plaque, and the best way is to provide the fluoride in the diet or in the toothpaste. In the diet, we generally take the fluoride in the water, which is added into the municipal supply of the water, and the fluoride is also added into the toothpaste. Fine. So, this is a dose which is recommended for the fluoride intake by all. Say infant require 0.01 to 0.5 milligram per day, children of the age 1 to 13 years require 0.7 to 2 milligram per day, adult require 3 to 4 milligram per day. Now, what agent do we add as a source of fluoride is sodium fluoride, which is made by the reaction of sodium carbonate with the hydrogen fluoride. It is a colorless, odorless powder which is soluble in water and insoluble in alcohol and salty to taste. Sodium fluoride is used for the prevention of dental caries. It may render the enamel tooth more resistant to acid because it is doing the performance of the remineralization. Then it reduces microbial acid production. It is also a component of insecticide and pesticides. Fluoridation of drinking water is done so that the mass community, everybody in the society get the fluoride right from the water itself. Another compound is calcium carbonate, which is made by the synthesis of passing the carbon dioxide gas through lime water. So, when lime water, that is your calcium hydroxide, react with carbon dioxide, we get the salt calcium carbonate, which is a colorless, odorless, tasteless powder insoluble in water and alcohol. Calcium carbonate has the property to form the salt with the respective acid it reacts with. If it is going to react with the HCl, it is going to form calcium chloride as a salt. However, if it react with the sulfuric acid, it is going to form the sulfate salt, that is calcium sulfate. Now, it is used in the antacid therapy. It is used as a calcium supplement in the deficiency state. It is used as food additive. It is used in dentifrices, what we are studying here. It is used in insecticide. It is used in antidiarrheal preparation, again as the replacement for the calcium when there is a loss of the electrolyte calcium from the body. But it has an adverse effect that it may cause constipation, discomfort and hypercalcemia. Now, the desensitizing agent, as per the name, which removes the sensation. Now, this sensation or the dentine hypersensitivity is a reaction which occurs to the different stimuli, say thermal, osmotic, tactile or chemical, but which may not have any pathology. So, desensitizing agents are added to the toothpaste these days, and they act by 3 different mechanisms. One is in nerve desensitization, that is potassium nitrate does the role. Then we have protein precipitation, that is done by glyceraldehyde, silver nitrate, zinc chloride, strontium chloride hexahydrate. And the third category is plugging dental tubules. Examples include sodium fluoride, stannous fluoride, calcium carbonate and calcium phosphate. Then we have the zinc eugenol cement, which is used for the temporary or the permanent filling of the tooth cavity. It is a low strength base and the powder is mainly zinc oxide along with the eugenol as well as olive oil as a plasticizer. Then these are the cements of the low strength, that the settling time takes say 4 to 10 minutes. They settle slowly. They are the least irritating. They do not cause any sort of irritation. They are available as powder or the toothpaste system. With the toothpaste are mixed whenever administration has to be done, right? Now, these are classified depending upon the 4 categories, which is ZOE. So, that is zinc oxide eugenolate for the temporary filling, for permanent as a thermal base or for the cavity liner. It is used for again the same thing, filings, temporary fillings, cavity lines and base, pulp capping agent, and one more secondary use it has, it is root canal restorations. Then we have polishing agent. As the name suggests, these are for the polishing of the tooth in order to remove any sort of biofilm or stains or the plaque which is deposited on the tooth enamel, so that the tooth becomes glossy and lustrous and you have a beautiful lustrous smile. Polishing agents include sodium metaphosphate, which is more appropriately called hexametaphosphate, which is synthesized by heating monosodium orthophosphate to generate sodium acid pyrophosphate, which is further heated to get sodium hexaphosphate. Cleaning agents are used to remove the plaque and the tartar. These are also called as abrasive. They are added to the toothpaste and the tooth preparations in order to remove the stains from the tooth. The examples include alumina, hydrated silica, dicalcium phosphate, calcium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. The common name of sodium bicarbonate, by which you can easily find in the kitchens of your home, that is your baking soda. So, these are the different agents which are used for the dentifrices, for the cleaning, for the plaque removal, for the desensitization, as well as to remove any sort of layer which is forming a tartar or plaque on the tooth in the form of the abrasive as well. So, students, I guess you might have got the concepts clear of whatever like I have taught in this lecture. We have started, I will just summarize, like we have started the acid bases in the starting, then we did the buffer, isotonicity, tonicity adjuster, what are the importance of the electrolyte, how do we maintain the balance, and if in case the imbalance occurs, how that is to be replenished and by what kind of salts it is to be replenished. Fine. Then we had to study what is the oral rehydration therapy, which is given in the diarrheal and the other conditions when the electrolyte are lost from the body, then which is recommended by WHO. Then we started the dentifrices, in which we studied the desensitizing agent, polishing agent and the zinc eugenol cement. I hope the concepts would be clear and you will be benefited by the lectures which I have given to you. So, all the very best and go through this chapter by heart, acid bases and buffer. Your subject code is BP104T, Inorganic Pharmaceutical Chemistry. Thank you.